disappeared. The record button moves. Here we are with lovely Carly. Yay!
Hey,
Evening, sir, because it is evening at the time recording. So good evening, how are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm all right.
That went very high pitched. So you know the helium.
Sorry, I just went high pitched then from I'm all right, I am, yeah. I'll go proper low down, I'm all right, yeah. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I forget what day it is. Is it Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday evening. Yeah, I'm doing well.
Tuesday. My goodness, because before we started recording this, you had this wonderful, lovely Welsh accent, and we hit record, and suddenly you went very high in English, and I thought, what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a phone voice thing, hello, or, something goes on, but my automatic instinct is to go high pitched because when the excitement levels go up or something.
High pitched in English. That's a shocking combination. Let's not go there.
I'll try and bring it down a bit, yeah.
Back to normal Welshman.
Yes,
so we've established that you are Welsh. So whereabouts in the world are you? Somewhere I'm guessing in Wales.
I am in Aberystwyth, which is on the west coast of Wales, West Wales. Small, but for Wales standards, big university town. About 20,000 or so people living here. Still quite rural Wales, but also by the sea. So best of both worlds. Though I've got to say, because this is a proper Welsh thing, I'm not from your original. I'm from South Wales. I'm from the South Wales Valleys, and I'm from Merthyr Tydfil.
Or as people locally call it, Merthyr, and everyone goes, oh, Merthyr Tydfil. Yeah. Yes. Proper Welsh, that, isn't it? Proper Welsh. My goodness. And is your family Welsh, or did you do the terrible thing of marrying an English woman?
I ended up marrying an English woman, yeah. So I went to theological college and possibly broke my mother's heart by marrying a girl from Clevedon, just outside Bristol. So yeah,
Well, that's nearly Wales. It's the other end of the bridge, so it's not bad.
They get the radio there, so close enough. Yeah, so yeah, I'm married to Liz. And we've got 3 boys, all with Welsh accents, I'm pleased to announce.
2, yeah. Right, and they are 11, 10, and 5, is that right?
Yeah, that's them, yeah.
Good memory there, isn't it? And they all have Welsh accents. Do they speak any Welsh? Any of you speak Welsh?
All right, okay, so they speak good Welsh. They're learning a lot in Welsh. This is Aberystwyth, a very bilingual town, so Welsh is paramount. My wife is doing really well learning Welsh. She's been learning for a couple of years. I do not speak Welsh. I have not done a lesson in Welsh since I was in year 10 in school. Oh gosh, it was even less, year 9 in school. I chose to do French, which I got an F in as well, by the way. I chose to do French instead of Welsh. So yeah, year 9 was the last time I had a Welsh lesson.
He doesn't speak Welsh. I feel like I ought to just cut the interview now, really, and just say, I'm sorry, I'm done. I'm horrified. No, I'm just kidding. So we've established that you speak English, even though you're Welsh, and you've got 3 lovely children and lovely wife. And how about the ministry side of things? Are you vicar or priest in charge or curate or associate or Church in Wales? Yeah. Do you have a whole different set of names for what you do?
Oh, we're different. Oh, we're moving different. So we're in St David's Diocese, again, which is on the west coast of Wales mainly, and we have ministry areas we're broken into. And so we're in the ministry area of Aberystwyth, which contains 5 churches, which at some point were different parishes brought together. And there's 3 of us in charge. So 3 joint priests in charge cover those 5 churches. So we work in a slightly different system and quite a new system as well, both for the Church in Wales, St David's, and for us in Aber as well. So we're all working that out too, and what it means and how we go about. But so far it's been pretty cool, actually. It's been really nice being part of the team and getting to know and having colleagues. One thing I think I learned about ministry is such a lonely job at times. And in my last parish, some of the guys tried to organise just for me a Christmas party. because I said that the one thing I miss being a vicar is going to a works Christmas party. Um, and so they
There's
tried
no one to go
to
with.
organise a Christmas party. For me, so it's been really nice having colleagues again, yeah.
Yeah, but isn't one of your colleagues your wife? So how is that? I mean, this is a whole different interview, but how is it being equals in that kind of three-way ministry partnership? You know, does that work?
It works well, and I think it works well because we bring our individual giftings to it. I really wanted, because we had to come up with a ministerial logo, and when we went into lockdown as well, that came paramount, you know, branding. You've got to have a logo for the ministry of Arborist with. And we came up with a logo, and it's lovely. But I wanted to have the Avengers A and have that logo. And
Brilliant.
but yeah, the three of us though come with these different gifts. I'm a vicar. Parish ministry is my thing. I love the pastoral side, love preaching, teaching, going to prayer meetings, Bible studies, hospital visits, all of that. And the other guys do that as well. But Liz is a pioneer, a church planter, and she's pioneering lots of different projects and also helps run a drop-in centre in town. And Mark, our other colleague, who was a bit nervous about having a husband and wife working in a team and what that could look like. He's really into admin, and he's brilliant at admin, and he loves that F word. You know it.
Faculty.
Faculty. He loves it. Show him a car park plan. He loves it. He comes alive. Our spreadsheets, he's goes silly over. So we've got this dynamic, but we think a lot alike as well, and we get on alike, and we get on as human beings. Thankfully, I get on with my wife as a human being, as well. So we get on well, and the three of us get on pretty good. So yeah, so far it's worked pretty nice and pretty well.
Works cool. And then COVID came along, which, as we know, it threw everybody's lives into disarray, and it locked everybody down. England, Wales, you know, the whole landmass went into lockdown. And I know the three different parliaments have done something slightly different in terms of England, Wales, Scotland. But generally speaking, in the early weeks and months, we had the same story, which was everybody stops, everything stops. And in terms of ministry, that shifted everything into a different place in terms of how we practically did our ministry. And I'll ask you about that, how being on lockdown changed church life and priestly life. But also, of course, this additional little bit, which is what our interview series is about primarily, which is about being shielders. So who in your family got the famous letter where you kind of go, oh, really, that's nice, which meant that shielding was the new vocabulary for your household? And how did that affect you as family as well as ministry?
So yeah, I have the letter. I have two letters of my first one and the follow-up, which came. The follow-up one came on time. The first one got lost somewhere. So yeah, I got the letter because I've got a kidney transplant. I had a kidney transplant 13 years ago. My dad donated me a kidney long time before I met Liz. And before I even went to theological college, was selected for ordination and things. And to be honest with you, it's something I live with. Take my pills, take my Smarties, morning and night, but get on with the rest of the day. And, you know, it's always there, but has never really defined who I've been. So I've always felt normal. So to be honest, as COVID developed and the news dripped, you know, obviously from China across the world and close to here, and even in the initial stages in the UK, I didn't realize that I was quite vulnerable. You know, I just thought, you know, when you've got a kidney transplant, you take certain medication which makes you vulnerable. You're vulnerable to everything. You just learn to accept that. I didn't realize that actually I was really vulnerable. And as the information dripped in and dripped in and dripped in, going on finally being, oh, by the way, you're going to have to stay in for 12 weeks. It came as all the best to that. That was 15 weeks ago. So that's been, yeah, that came as quite a shock, to be honest with you. And it's random to still now and again think about that week, because it started off a little bit normal. The Sunday, we were in church and we had our evening service as well. And for the first time, we recorded it and streamed it on Facebook, the sermon bit in church, because we thought there might be people who won't come to church because they're worried a little bit about COVID, and people who want to isolate. So we thought, great idea. Hey, we'll do it next week as well. By the time next week had come, there weren't no church to go to on Sunday. So thinking about that week of how we went from Monday having our staff meeting, thinking about how we might do things differently come Sunday, to the weekend coming and everything had changed completely. It came in such a whiz. It was even now it feels strange, and I'm blessed enough never to have gone to war in my life, but it almost had this sense of we're battering down and preparing for battle in some way, and everything just changed. Obviously, it did in our home very significantly, but it affected everyone as well. And when you think back, how the world just changed in a few days, it's really strange.
It's really quite shocking and surprising. What did you do as a family? Did you go to the shed and stay there for 14 weeks and then emerge when you were safe? Or did you, as a whole family, did you shield? How did you have that conversation?
I offered. No, basically, we started off a little bit differently. So Liz is a pioneer, and she was doing some brilliant work out in the community and really getting things started. So the most vulnerable in our community didn't go without. So they were still getting meals and things like that. And kids were still getting food, and our food bank was operating. But she still needed to do that. So we made a decision, actually, that me and our 3 boys would go to my parents' house. My parents live in quite an open space as well. My dad is just over 70, so that worked out well. They could get deliveries. They got good neighbours. So we thought, right, we'll do this, and Liz will carry on doing her ministry. And again, that kind of added into that, preparing for battle kind of thing, as we're packing, everything up, and the TV in the back of the car to go down. After about a month or so, everything was established, and the kids needed to see their mum. So we made a decision to come home. Liz isolated for long enough to make sure there was no virus with her. And we came home, and since then, we as a family have been isolating. And that really means, essentially, we've been in our home, in our garden. The only exception was Liz would take the dog over the field that's by our house, up until I was allowed out once a day to play. So we made that decision to all kind of batten in together, take advantage of delivery slots and other local things, and friends helping out as well. And that's been us now for nearly 4 months.
It's a long time, isn't it? I think as a household, we're about to start week 15, and it just feels like, I don't know whether it feels like a blink of an eye getting the letter and going, gosh, has it been 15 weeks? Or just thinking it's been 15 weeks, somebody let me out. How has it changed the way that you do your ministry in terms of practical stuff? Because previously, before this, a lot of it was out there based, people's homes, walking through the streets in a church building, and now you've got the same 4 walls. So how has it changed your ministry?
Yeah, and I mean massively. And I really was, and we were as well, both of us, massively. Very much visit the church daily. The church is open. Speak to members of our staff team daily, do the pastoral thing daily, have prayer meetings and other services like all the time. And we were out way more than we were in. And, you know, that was our focus. We're both extroverts as well, so we love being out and doing, you know, that kind of thing as well. So initially, it felt like everything just stopped. Um, Initially, it just felt like, right, everything stopped. For us, the first thing we had to learn to deal with was Zoom. You know, a few days before I had the letter, the word Zoom wasn't in my vocabulary apart from telling stories to the kids. You know, nothing to do with us at all. And we had our first staff meeting on Zoom on a Monday morning, which was a disaster, I got to be honest. But not quite what to do. Lots
And
of
now you're experts.
yeah, lots of awkward silences and stuff. And actually, since then, almost everything's evolved. So we've started doing more services online, midweek services online, more meetings online, talking to people more online. Zoom has become one of our best friends, as of all the other things that we use as well. Lots of phone calls, lots of sermon prep as well for our Sunday services that we record, and you know, and that kind of thing. But, and this is where it gets trickier, balancing that with being teachers, schoolwork.
Yeah, homeschooling. Oh,
Schooling.
year 5 maths. That's all I'm saying. Year 5 maths is driving me mad. I'm clever. I've got 2 degrees and nearly an MA. I look at year 5 maths and I go, I don't know who I am anymore. It's awful.
I can't do it. I can't, and I'm not going to lie, I really let myself down with my year 5 son. Doing something on multiple times tables, and we watched the video, but I didn't have a clue. Thankfully, he got it. I am awful at teaching. Liz is brilliant at it. Liz is absolutely fantastic at helping teach the kids on all the levels. You know, she's great with the reading books, brilliant with the maths, brilliant with the reading, doing all that. I'm terrible. And possibly because I struggle with year 5 maths and, well, everything else, I get a bit frustrated and want to storm off.
Yeah.
So
I think that's fair. And it's quite a pressured environment anyway, because I don't know about you, but there's a bit of me, because my husband, who's got the kidney transplant, for only a couple of years old so far, but we're keeping it going and we tend to keep it that way. So, and he's a teacher, so he like, homeschooling, you can do that because you're a teacher, you're paid to do stuff. But what I found, and other people I've been talking to, not necessarily on camera, but other conversations where it couldn't come on camera, and what they're feeling now is something you said off camera as well, was that at the beginning of lockdown, everyone was in it together. And there was almost a sense of it won't be long, but we'll lock down, and it's quite extreme. But and I know Wales will be more extreme with lockdown than England. And to be honest, I think that's probably right. But time will tell. And it was a kind of a instant lockdown. Everything stops, life changes, but it won't be for long, and we'll get on top of it, and then we'll get back to normal again. And of course, the longer it's gone on, the longer we've realised it's not a sprint, it's not panic stations. That this is like a long haul marathon thing. And then that thing of being in it together that you said earlier, but off camera, it feels to me and to some people, I don't know about you, that actually we're not in it together anymore. And the pressures of trying to manage being a priest in a different setting and being a home life but in a different environment, and suddenly becoming homeschool teachers and the parenting shifts, and it all become very intense. And then we're still living in this intense bubble of being pulled in different directions. With, as the lockdown lifts, in practice, if not policy, everybody's saying, well, you can release that tension now, and you can start going back into being a priest, and you can start sending the kids out, and you can start, and you're like, actually, we need to keep this as tight as it has been, but at the same time, watching everybody else stretching and stretching and stretching, and the feeling of guilt of not being out there when everybody else is doing that. So how is lockdown coming towards its first ending? How is that feeling for you and your family, and the need to retain shielding but watching the world going back to normal again?
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it almost feels naive to think, you know, just over 3 months ago, we thought this is 3 months back to normal. It was almost like once that 12 weeks is up, we can all be out again, giving each other hugs, and everything will be fine. And, and I'm sure we'll all be better people because of it. And, and that's not been the case. It's been this gentle drip of everything coming back to normal. And I think possibly where it's really hard where that tension is, and certainly as a priest is, 3 months ago, everything was about the community spirit. We're all in this together, and it almost shows the fallenness of humanity that now you also see the tensions. Now you see the tensions and possibly even the expectations on clergy. So for us, I would say the biggest challenge of all has come in the last week or so, which is the reopening of churches for private prayer. Now, most of the guys in ABBA are so respectful of our condition. They're so prayerful for us. They understand fully why we're in and we can't do. But now and again, some people feel a little bit awkward as about why one of our churches or a couple of our churches or even all of them currently are still closed for private prayer because we're unable to get the systems in place to do it. The fact that we've never opened for private prayer really hasn't come into it. And actually, so far, and actually we've not really been contacted by anyone to want private prayer. But that's where that guilt comes in, because I think the priestly guilt is, this is something we can do, but we're not doing it. And this is why we're not doing it, because I'm here. And I think, you start playing those tricks on your own self then of, am I lazy? Am I not doing the right thing?
Or am I overly paranoid and everyone's going to go, see, you were ridiculous, why are you staying in? And you're like, but I don't want to die. No, I'm going to die, it'd be silly. And it's like, am I being silly? Am I being overly paranoid?
Yeah, and I think it's potentially made worse here. I mean, so far, the county that we live in, Ceredigion, is, I think, the second best in the UK for infection rates. Okay. So I think there's also that added, come on, let's use common sense a little bit more and push the boundaries a bit more. And I think as time goes on as well, there's a little bit more to do with, weddings will restart. And what about pastoral visits? I've been contacted to say, I can come and, we can have a distanced walk together and, I can share my troubles with you and, and do all that. And of course, there's this priestly instinct in us which says, yes, I want to respond to that. And yes, I want to help you. But then you also know the guidance is, no, you can't. And yeah, that's rubbish, actually. It feels a bit rubbish. And yeah, that's where the pain causes. I think our fear is that as we continue to go forward and continue to drip through and all of that kind of stuff, that, little bits more of those resentments, a little bits more of what we're not doing will come obvious and apparent, and we will have almost like all these different tiers of usefulness. Our colleague Mark, incredibly useful, no health conditions, not shielding, in great health. He can do the weddings. If he needed to, he can go to the church buildings. He can do all of that. And he'd never use that against us. But people being people, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of those are the fears about where we are and where we go forward. But yeah.
And how about God? Has God been on the beach going, I'm fine, there's lovely views out here, you just carry on doing what you're doing? Or has God been much closer in the household? Has God been absent or noisier? Where's God been in all this for you guys?
I think God has been really talking, actually, a lot to us. And I think for us, there's been a real grasp of opportunity to pray, to wait on him, actually to read his word more and study his word more. And actually God revealing to us, I think, what he's doing now, what he's doing through that. I mean, across the board, it's certainly true in Wales, certainly true us in ABBA, and I'm sure it is for most of the Church of England. we're reporting, large views on what we're doing online, and actually God is speaking in that. Today Liz and I were writing a report for our church committee on planting a continued online church and what that could look like for us, and all of those things. And it really feels like God is changing everything around. And I think there's something wonderful in that in many ways. Think about how obsessed did I get with, that one toilet in that one church for so long, for example.
Yeah.
Compared to, wow, this real opportunity we're discovering, which perhaps was always there, but we never saw it because we were thinking about that toilet in the church, or the slates falling off the church, or keeping up with Mrs. Jones or Williams in Wales as well.
Williams, yes. Rees.
Rees, keeping up with all of those. But actually God's done a lot of talking perhaps on what the direction we are going as our, LMA, as our ministry area, and perhaps the wider church. God is there. At times, God has felt absent. At times, it's felt a bit more quiet. At times, you have those days, I'm sure you know them, when schoolwork isn't going so well, and for whatever reason, your phone's ringing slightly more, and you've got something else to do, and you've burnt something, or the washing machine's not working properly, or
I call those weekdays. Yeah.
Any day with a Y in it. Any of those days, and you do, and actually you forget God is still with you, and all of that, and so we're seeing some real great things that God is doing, but I think we're also conscious, or trying to be conscious, of not letting the other stuff take over as well. And the funny thing about the lockdown stuff is, on the first, Monday, it felt like there was so much time on our hands. Now it feels like there's really no time to spare again. And, I don't think I like the phrase, the new normal, but as we've settled into new routines for now, it's almost like we've replaced all that old stuff with what we do now. And the danger there is, once again, we'll just push God completely out in our busyness. I think it's been really about learning to take time for God. At first, it was because we could. Now it's seeing the benefits of that and learning that, actually we should.
And to bring us into land, because people tend to drift off at this point and go, they've had half an hour, can they shut up now? And it's like a sermon when people start tapping their watches and going, are they ever going to stop talking? I had one of those in one of my parishes way back in the time when they tap their watch and go, is the girl going to stop talking soon? In my sermon, that was a joy. I'm not a parish minister anymore, not incumbent. So for instance, land, we don't get their watch tappers. What's kind of got you through this? Top tips for yourself and for other shielders to say, this has really helped to make this work?
Yeah, okay. Mine, obviously, you got to have prayer in there. It's the Christian answer. I'm a vicar after all. You got to pray. So take the time to pray, guys, boys and girls. Say your prayers. So prayer,
that's really given. Pray.
And I think find something you can just switch your brain off to and enjoy. And that's been a big thing. So I have discovered some random, really terrible TV shows.
Such as? Go on, spill the beans.
Okay, right. The Food Network, Mystery Diners. I don't know if you know her, but there's a show where a guy called Charles Stiles, who's an expert on, dining and getting restaurants to work properly, works with restaurateurs who think they got problems with their staff, and he sets up cameras and microphones in a restaurant to discover where they've been stealing or going behind their back or cheating, and he stirs them up a bit and says, look what they're doing now, and eventually somebody gets fired for their job, and it is so bad and staged, it's hysterical.
Right, I'll have to look that one up. Okay.
It's terrible, but it's so funny because it's so terrible. So you've got that.
Okay.
Thankfully, Disney Plus came out on the same time that lockdown came out. So we went through the 22 Marvel Universe films.
Not back to back, surely, like a whole just one binge session with popcorn.
Oh no, just one a night, we don't overdo it. So you got that, but the other thing I've discovered, and this is really, really sad, and it also shows my age, the kids have got a Nintendo Switch, but you can play Super Nintendo games only, like I did when I was my boy's age. So recently, and I'm just about to do it, I'm completing Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo, just like I did and didn't do when I was 11 or 12. So that is going to be goal accomplished when this is done. I will do that, and I will take a photo of myself next to the screen of everything. I am winning. Who says that lockdown's been a waste? All the theological books will stay in the shelf, but that will be winning.
Retro Nintendo. Oh, good for you, my friend. That is awesome. That is awesome. We're going to come into land at that point. I didn't even mention the fact you've got a very neutral background, no showing off with bookshelves, and an archdeacon gifted orchid that you nearly killed but didn't. We're not going to mention any of that because there's no time. Kai, thank you so much for talking to us and being one of my lovely victims or volunteers or interviewees or whatever it is we've done here. You're an absolute pleasure to talk to. And I love hearing your accent. I know it sounds terribly patronising, but I grew up in Mid Wales. Well, I grew up in Mid Wales, you see, in Newtown. So I really miss hearing. And when I get cross with myself, I start going to Welsh accent again. So I better stop before I do the Welsh thing by accident. If I get stressed, I go Welsh.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop recording now. But thank you so much, Kai. Thank you for doing this for us, and you're a star.
Thank you.